So what is up, guys? Apparently more Nubatama cards got announced, and I wasn't informed. Now I'm informed. Here's your video outtake. Let's get going. So Stealth Dragon Voidmaster. During your turn, if you have more cards in your hand than your opponent, this card he becomes a 12k unit. Vanguard Rearguard effect. When this unit attack hits, not the Vanguard, just hits, counterblast 2 to have your opponent discard a card from their hand at the start of their next turn. So they nerfed Nubatama in the sense of they're not going to discard right away. They're going to be starting on their next turn, which the whole point about Nubatama was discarding on their turn. Was supposed to be discarding on your turn when they're discarding their cards, so you watch out for their PGs. But now we get Nubatama's gimmick. The new gimmick is they have it's CB2 to discard a card from your hand. But with Draw Turbo being a thing, that's always going to be a freaking issue. But let's see what other cards are going to help us here. Stealth Dragon Dreadmaster. When this unit attack, this unit boost hits. Counterblast 2 to have your opponent discard a card from their hand. Then at the start of their next turn. So at the start of their next turn, they discard. So it's the same effect as this guy, but it's a booster. CB2 is pretty heavy. And I only say this because I don't see a counter. So far, we haven't read a countercharger for this because CB2 is a lot. It really is. This could be problematic in a sense. Nubatama's big gimmick was the discard. If these cards are gonna be CB heavy, we're gonna have a bad time for sure. So Stealth Dragon Dreadmaster is coming, which is good. He has this thing. So Shura Stealth Dragon Kabukicongo. So when this unit attacks the Vanguard, you counterblast 1 to get 10,000 power until the end of that battle. So this unit doesn't even need a booster, so that's a plus. Bind all of your opponent's rear guards. Return those cards from the bind zone to the hand at the end of that turn. When this unit attack hits a Vanguard, you Soul Blast 2, counterblast 1, and then put 2 cards from the bind zone into the drop zone. So they added this new effect to the Nubatama cards. They did this just because of Forerunner killers. But now Forerunner killers don't exist, so your G0 is going to be fine. That means you have a possibility of sacking 4 freaking cards from the bind zone. Due to the G0 that we're probably expecting, the G0 is going to be a free kill 2 cards instead of counterblasting 2 to kill 2 cards that were binded. So it looks like Kabukicongo got his extra effect, which is good. Next is Shura Stealth Dragon Yozakuracongo. And this was supposed to be a triple rare. See, that was the Battle Collection pack. We were wondering where it is. Here it is. It's a double rare. So if your opponent has 4 cards, this is a 1-turn thing. Counterblast 1, discard a card from your hand. This card gets plus 10,000 power until the end of the turn. Your opponent chooses 2 random cards from their hand and bind them. It's random, so you have a high possibility of killing those said cards. The only problem with this effect is your opponent needs to have 4 cards or more to discard 2. So the point of even break riding Kabukicongo would be an issue because Kabukicongo push you down to 3, and putting this on top of it isn't going to help us at all. And Kabukicongo's effect is your opponent discards at the start of their next turn. So that's going to be an issue. That could be an issue, even for a break ride. They should have kind of put this effect down to maybe, but I guess that if they put it down to 2 cards, it would have been way too busted because then you're killing your opponent's entire hand. But the break ride for this is kind of like weird. I would say this is good if your opponent is playing Draw Turbo in the sense that you can sack those early. So that's what you kind of want to go for. But he maintained his effect. He just got the add effect is when this unit attack hits a Vanguard, Soul Blast 2, Counterblast 1, put 2 cards from the bind zone to the drop zone. So you're automatically killing the drop zone regardless as long as you get the hit in. But this one's when this unit attack hits the Vanguard. This one's also hits the Vanguard. The other unit, Voidmaster, was just hits. So there's a difference between the 2. But I think he only kills 1 bind. Counterblast 2. No, your opponent just discards a card. He doesn't do crap. Never mind. He just discards a card. If he was intercept 12k, that'd be good. And next we have Tempest Stealth Road Fuki. If your opponent's hand has 3 more cards, counterblast 1, put this unit into your soul, choose a random card from your hand and bind it. Return that card from the bind zone to the hand at the end of the turn. So Nubatama is legit all about getting your opponent down to pretty much 2 cards. I mean, there's nothing more you can do besides maybe pulling off a Voidmaster play, but it's like I said, it's very CB heavy. You don't know where you're at in the match, and you have to really kind of time those correctly. Maybe you make them discard a card early. They lose unit plays. I mean, the more they play units, the more options you're limiting your opponent with that CB2. because they have to discard a card. They have to discard a G3. They might have to discard their Break Ride. What if they have a PG and they have a PG and a G2? Maybe they discard the G2. You are kind of limiting your opponent, even with the CB2, because it's almost like killing another unit the following turn. You are limiting your opponent with Nubatama in a sense. Even though these are early CB plays, the fact that you're making them discard during these turns is good enough. That's what you want to push for, because I guess the main goal is to kind of weaken their hand as you play through with these CBs. If they hit their draw triggers, well, you're screwed. But that's the whole point about the Break Ride. That's the whole point about Yozakuracongo. That's the whole point. If they're playing draw trigger, Yozakuracongo's like, no, you're down to 2 cards. If I bind at least 2 PGs from the randomness, that's going to be pretty godly. That's going to depend as well. Now, the whole thing about that is, you know, the 3 cards, this guy was limited to 3. So, like I said, the most Nubatama's going to discard your opponent to is roughly 2 cards. By the time you ride Break Ride, I guess the whole point about the Break Ride is your opponent goes down to 1 card if you did it correctly, but it's going to depend where you're at in the match and if they hit actually their draw sack like a normal human being. But nice seeing Kabukicongo and Yozakuracongo get updated effects, where it's just like the Forerunner, but I don't think the Forerunner is going to be a CB1. I think it's just going to be boost when it hits. 2 cards are binded, send them to the drop zone. So I just want to bring this news to you guys now. Thanks for watching. Nubatama's looking hype. We'll see these guys in March. Until next time, homies, peace out.